Hey, this is Shannon Kringen. I'm in Seattle. 98102 is my zip code of my P.O. box. Yeah, I just had an interesting conversation with a photographer that I might model for, but I'm feeling conflicted and awkward. And I feel like I'm in a phase in my life where I'm going through a lot of grief. And I want to talk about a new video that I put on my YouTube channel, and I want to go through all of the songs. I'm really grateful. Like, I'm a very busy person. I'm art modeling and medical modeling and doing poetry and music and improv acting and open mic poetry and music. And I'm doing a lot of projects and I'm feeling scattered, like I spread myself thin and like I'm don't want to say all the cliche labels that I sometimes say about the challenges of my personality, but I wanted to talk about how proud and grateful I am to have met Dave Flowers from Interactive Jack Records and the music that we've created uh, together. I just put a video on my YouTube channel that's music. I made a new playlist that's music only, and it has let's see how many songs. It has like 27 songs or something on it. And I'm very happy and grateful for that. I'm a very busy person. I stayed home today. I was going to do my improv acting class. This wonderful man named Jermaine has a class at the Seattle Center on Sundays that I love to go to. Um, 27 videos on my music only of Goddess Kring. And I am going to be working on two new music videos for Cactus Hugging Vulnerable Viking and It Ain't About You, Babe, the new song I wrote about going to San Diego. And I'm really happy and grateful about that. And I wanted to mention the names of all the songs that I did with Dave Flowers recently. Um, on the new YouTube video, it's just music only for 2 hours and 40 minutes. It's just our own original songs. It's Lonely in the Sand, one. It Ain't About You, Babe is number two. Cowboy Kring is number three. Kaleidoscope Unicorn is number four. So these are just, it goes all the way to 30 different songs. So the first one, Lonely in the Sand, I wrote about going to San Diego recently and the grief I have about being raised there, uh, born there. And then when we left suddenly when I was 9, it was very upsetting to me and I had a hard time adapting to that. But I think I kind of shut myself off emotionally and went dormant in some way. And I'm just picking up the pieces from that. Then It Ain't About You, Babe, and Lonely in the Sand. Those two first songs are kind of about my trip to San Diego. Recently, I went there. My friend and I drove there. My friend, who's like a brother to me, we drove to San Diego in my art car, Opal Moonstone, and he filmed me. And then I went there again on an airplane and I flew down there and I stayed in an Airbnb and I did improv acting and went to a writing workshop and went to an open mic in Ocean Beach and was trying to develop a relationship with San Diego as an adult because part of me wishes I could move back there and or retire there, but I don't know if I'll ever do that. Right now I'm thinking I'm not going to do that, but I still love it down there, but it doesn't really have my childhood is over and I can never get it back. And it's just weird that I'm 57 and I'm still feeling like I have a lot of grief about it and decisions I made in my 20s that were life altering. uh I don't really want to go into all my personal stuff, but so Lonely in the Sand and It Ain't About You, Babe are about that. And then Cowboy Kring is kind of a more humorous song uh, with saloon style piano by Dave Flowers. And I write all the lyrics and Dave does the music. I would like to have more input on the music, but let's be honest, Dave is an amazing musical genius, whereas I am like a very primitive, like I have some musical skills and I took piano lessons as a kid and I've written a couple short songs on the piano, but I'm very kind of chaotic and primitive with my music skills, and Dave is very accomplished musically. So Dave is taking my unusual poetry and helping me turn it into catchy music, and I'm really grateful for the collaboration with Dave. So Kaleidoscope Unicorn is number 4, and it is a poem partly about taking care of a cat named Kiki and solving her fish puzzle in the sunlight. And Kaleidoscope Unicorn is kind of a magical, whimsical song. Only Child is about me being an only child born in San Diego, California, and about going back and forth between my two parents and the challenge of that. Monkey Wrench is about not putting water on your own candle and not allowing other people to discourage you. Also, I really love the new movie, Marty Supreme. It was fascinating that it takes place in the 1950s and yet they use 1980s music, and it just gave it kind of a surreal, dreamlike quality. Marty Supreme is a movie kind of about balancing what really matters, loving relationships and your personal life, and balancing that with your pursuing of your dreams and your calling in life and your passion in life and your destiny in life. And it kind of is a unique way of witnessing the choices people make both in their personal life and their career, professional life, and what drives somebody. And the end of the movie made me question some decisions I made in my 20s that led to me not having any kids. I terminated a pregnancy in my 20s, but I don't want to dive too deeply into that. But sometimes I regret it. And sometimes I feel like I made the best choice, and other times I regret what I did. I also had breast reduction surgery when I was in my 20s, and I sometimes regret that. And I sometimes, so those two decisions were, life altering in my 20s. And so Monkey Wrench is about getting out of your own way. Cancel culture, and also not letting other people discourage you from pursuing your dreams. And it made me think of that movie. Monkey Wrench made me think of the movie Marty Supreme, starring Gwyneth Paltrow and Sandra Bernhard and Fran Drescher and Timothy Chalamet. And I love that movie. And them putting 1980s music into a 1952 set movie was fascinating to me. It made it more dreamy and surreal, mixed in with it seemed real in a way and yet dreamy in another way. And so I love that combination of unusualness. And Cancel Culture Vultures, Virtue Signal Soldiers is a poem I wrote about that turned into a song about current times, about cancel culture and virtue signal, and how I'm not a huge fan of that, and about the gaslighting that people do to each other these days, and the polarization and the just, challenging times we live in. Jazz Mint is a more jazzy, whimsical song about partly based on my friend who has two kitties, one named Mario, an older grumpy cat named Mario, and a younger kitty named Jazzy or Jasmine, and I called it Jazz Mint. And that's just a whimsical, playful song that's a little jazzy. And then Banana Split is the first song that Dave and I ever did about 3 years ago. And it's more of a folky, kind of slightly corny, but I love it. It makes me think of the Carpenters. UFO Camera is song number 10 on the new video I have on my YouTube channel. And it's UFO Camera is a whimsical song I wrote about a dream I had about a UFO camera filled with oysters. And it was kind of an erotic dream. And it had a removable body part that was, sensual and erotic. And that's UFO Camera. Song number 11 is called New Year's Revolution, where I do rhymes. I sound a little like Patti Smith, I think, and it's a little punk rock and it's a little bit rock and roll. And I mentioned Seattle. And then Dumpster Diving Boots is number 12 song on there. And it's about the story about dumpster diving boots, about how I threw a fit and threw some of my art away. And then I saw it for sale in a secondhand store. And I painted a hat for Tom Petty, but I never met him. And I painted shoes for Tori Amos, but I did meet her and she wore them on stage in 1996. That was, gosh, 30 years ago. So I wrote a song called Dumpster Diving Boots about that. And then The Story of Goddess Kring is song number 13. And that is about my art car, Opal Moonstone. My favorite color is green. And I made up rhymes about my art car, basically. Um, and then Cactus Hugging Vulnerable Viking is partly inspired by the contradiction known as me, who's introvert extrovert, who is really shy and yet really brave, who is um, driving to Houston, Texas, and back with my friends for the Houston Art Car Parade a couple years ago. And so I wrote a song partly based on that, on what we saw on the road trip. Origami Pylons and Cactus Hugging Vulnerable Viking. That's one of my favorite songs. And my friend Nibby Nebulous did the guitar on that. And then Dave made it a unique loop. And part of that song reminds me of a Rolling Stones song called Shattered Shadoobie, Shattered Shadoobie, that song. There's this cool effect that Dave put on the synthesizer and guitar. And we don't use AI for our music, by the way. We create our music by ourselves with both analog and digital equipment. We do not let computers generate our music for us. We do the music ourselves, just to let you know that. Outsmart the Gaslighters is a song about our current times, about what I consider a lot of BS in current times and people manipulating each other and smoke and mirrors and psychological um, manipulation. And Polarized Landscape is number 16, and that is about the polarized landscape we live in now and how I don't buy into that and I refuse to take the bait. Maybe I should write another song called Eggshell Walker, Don't Take the Bait. I think that's a good title, actually. Eggshell Walker, Don't Take the Bait, but that's a whole nother deal. So Polarized Landscape is about that. And then Swirly Girl is kind of a rhyme about making lemons out of lemonade. Wait, I said that backwards. See, I'm dyslexic. Making lemons out of lemonade. Take something sweet and make it sour. Ha ha ha. That's funny. No, it's about Swirly Girl is about um, swirly girl, give it a whirl, find the pearl. Checkerboard childhood in the wild livelihood understood. So it's kind of like the grapes are peeled, secrets are revealed, curly queued up, lips unsealed. It's about recognizing the contradictions in life and choosing to make lemonade when you get lemons and making the best out of whatever, you can take your wounds and do something good with them, is basically what that song is about. And then Butter the Wing is kind of an erotic, it's kind of a lots of puns, lots of sensual puns that are about sensual topics that are Butter the Wing, Spread the Kring, and Moisture Her Oyster, and Climb Jack's Beanstalk, and all these kind of funny phrases that I came up with that, rhyme and that are kind of alluding to, sensual topics. Amplified Chameleon, Getting Her Dreams On, Body Paint Dance, TV Romance. It's Amplified Chameleon is about how I feel about my identity keeps shifting and shape shifting. Bun dance is about abundance, my fear of scarcity. I might write another song called Avoid Dance, but a bun dance is about fear of scarcity and rhymes about that, about now time always here. Also in Outsmart the Gaslighters, I say, see an enemy set free. See an enemy set free. In other words, don't take the bait, rise above hating people, and basically choose to be kind and loving no matter what, despite all the hideousness in the world. So that's another phrase that I put in there. And the other song, Kid Kring with No Clothes, is a song I wrote about, and that's number 21. That's about being a figure model for the last 33, 34 years. Another day at the office with my clothes off because I'm a figure model. It's an unusual job that I have. That's my regular day job, kind of. And Margarita Slushies with the Next Door Neighbors is a funny rhyme that I wrote about. We literally did have Margarita Slushies with the Next Door Neighbors. And Populist Pivot, Now You Got Dividends. It's just cool rhymes I came up with when I saw a cement truck down the street and construction. And I was just playing with words and coming up with kind of a fun rhyme symbolizing the contradictions of life, and the paradoxes of life. Dragonfire Hello is a nice rhyme one I did with Synthetic Summer, and the guest vocalist on that is JT from, I think he lives in Bakersfield, California. Yeah, JT lives in Bakersfield, California. He's the guest. Synthetic Summer is a band that Dave Flowers and JT have together, Synthetic Summer, and I am there. I don't know if I'm guesting on their song or they're guesting on my song. I don't know, but that's what Dragonfire Hello is. And the other voice you hear is JT from Bakersfield. And then you hear Distracted by Reality, number 5. That's also JT guest vocal, with that's Goddess Kring with Synthetic Summer. And then remix of Monkey Wrench is an unusual version of Monkey Wrench where Dave changed it. The vocals are the same, but Dave switched around the drum pattern that he created with his digital drum machine. And we sometimes use real drums and we sometimes use, like, Dave actually played the drums into his keyboard and made his own unique keyboard drum kit. So there's a remix of Monkey Wrench, a remix of Dumpster Diving Boots, where there's different synthesizer sounds and different drum track rhythms and loops that Dave created. Super Flower, Dave Flowers, and remix of Only Child. And there's basically remixes of Monkey Wrench, Dumpster Diving Boots, Only Child, Swirly Girl, Bun Dance, and then the last track, number 30, is 11 Electronic. That's a song that I wrote actually when I was 11 on the keyboard, and Dave and I turned it into a long extended loop, and he added drum patterns to it. So I'm playing the keyboard, the simple pattern, da 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 do 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 do. Yeah, I have it memorized. So that's one of the only songs I wrote when I was 11. I actually wrote 3 songs, but I don't really remember. I vaguely remember one song I wrote about Dracula. And then 11 is a song. We just call it 11 because I wrote it when I was 11 and I never titled it and I couldn't figure out words to go with it. So that's our, I do say unique patterns, a few spoken word. Whatever. Okay, I just wanted to share that's the new video, and I'm excited about. I'm in the movie Crystal Ball, which is a follow-up to Fantasy Egg. It's a Mattress. I have a small acting part, and they're using our song Butter the Wing in that song. The Goddess Kring song Butter the Wing will be in that. The follow-up movie to Fantasy Egg. It's a Mattress by those wonderful people that made that movie. They are making Crystal Ball right now, and they are working on it right now, and they're working really hard on it, and they're following through and finishing it. Because, a lot of people say they're going to make a movie, but they don't do it. These people are real serious and they're doing it. And I really admire their work ethic and I really loved working with them. I had a couple lines in the movie and they're using our song in the movie. And I'm so happy that that's useful to them. And I got to do a little acting. I even get to dub in my lines. I'm going to be modeling in a few days for Dr. Sketchy's in Everett. What is it called? It's called Dr. Sketchy's. It's on Wednesday, February 25th from 4 to 7 p.m. At the Lover's Lair in Everett from 4 to 7 p.m. on Wednesday. And I'm doing that. And hopefully we'll have people show up and draw me. I will be wearing a costume. I'll be wearing probably 3 different costumes. I think once an hour. I'll change the costume like once an hour. So I'll have 3 different costumes, I think. And I will have my art car there parked in front, and I will be performing and modeling, basically posing for people who draw and paint to my own Goddess Kring music at the event. And I'm very excited. And I'm also doing open mic at the C&P Coffee with Poetry Bridge. And I'm also doing the Rabbit Box open mic. They call it Open Michael, but it's open mic with for poetry and storytellers and music. And Poetry Bridge is the poetry one, although they said I could do my music next time. So on March 11th, I'm going to be featured reader at the C&P Coffee. I might start doing open mic at Couth Buzzard and Hopvine in Capitol Hill, but I haven't had a chance to do that yet. There's a lot of different open mics. I thought about doing comedy. I'm friends with the guy who runs the Disabled Comedy Festival I took a class, I mean, from, and I'm a little bit friendly with him, a wonderful guy, Dan Hurwitz, who curates the comedy for Bumpershoot, and he does the disabled comedy show. I got an art modeling gig on the comedy show they're doing that's coming up. I think that's on the 26th, February 26th on Capitol Hill. They have a comedy showcase, disabled comedy showcase. Uh, I am autistic and dyslexic and ADHD and challenged in that way, and so I might eventually join in with that comedy show if I can come up with like a 3 or 5 or 10 minute comedy routine. I have made some jokes on stage. People have laughed at some of my jokes about being an art model in my 50s and about being an only child and being on the spectrum, but I don't know if I'll do that or not. I'm feeling a kind of a desire to retreat from being so public. And today I stayed home instead of going to the improv acting. I just felt like I needed to be with myself. And I'm really, really grateful for the freedom I have in that I can make a living in all these creative ways. And I am dipping my toes in doing open mic with poetry and comedy and music and acting. And I'm glad I stayed home all day. And I just met with a photographer on Zoom, and I don't know if I'll work with him or not because I'm feeling uh, conflicted about it. And I have to honor that and take good care of myself mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. And I'm wearing my new cowboy hat, which I love. And thinking about how much I love certain country music. And a lot of people say they don't like country. Well, I've never felt that way. I love Johnny Cash and Lucinda Williams and Willie Nelson and Edie Brickell and um, uh, Southern accents of Billy Bob Thornton and Tommy Lee Jones and these different like people. I have a friend um, from Arkansas. I love the sound of his voice. And I just am fascinated when we went to Houston, Texas for the Art Car Parade Festival. I loved hearing the Southern accents of people from Texas. I loved the sound of it. And I don't stereotype people as being a certain way. If I hear a Southern accent on somebody's voice, I don't make any assumptions about their intelligence level or anything like that. I'm not into stereotyping. And I actually really like the sound of Southern accents. And I know that Janis Joplin was from Texas and was from Katy, Texas or somewhere. Interesting. And Edie Brickell is from Texas. I love the sound of her speaking voice. When she sings, I guess you can't always hear her Southern accent or her Texas accent, but she is from Texas and I love her voice, Edie Brickell. And I just love Southern accents, but I'm also fascinated. I have a friend that lives in the north of England. I'm fascinated by the accents I hear from um, all the different dialects in England. And I know somebody from the Bronx, New York, and from Philadelphia. And I actually know somebody that is partly raised in London, England, and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And her voice is kind of a combination of British, and she's from Bangladesh. So her accent is partly Bangladeshi, partly East Coast USA, and partly London. And that's an interesting dialect. I say that's a very unique voice. And when actors talk about using their voice and learning different dialects and accents, I'm fascinated by that. So that's all I just wanted to share. This is Shannon Kringen, Goddess Kring. It is February 22nd, 2026, and that's the update for now. So the newest video that's music only is 2 hours in, or is it 1 hour? 2 hours? 2 hours and 40 minutes? Or is it 1 hour? I think it's 2 hours and 40 minutes. Yeah, Dave and I's music lasts a whole 2 hours and 40 minutes. And I put that on there because there's no ads on my YouTube channel. If you just click on it, you can listen to music for that long. And it's partly for me to be able to listen to my music when I feel like it, all the different songs in a row with no gaps and no ads. And it's for anybody out there who wants to listen. I need to honor, instead of seeking external approval, external validation. It's true, you would say, well, if I don't want any external validation, I should just not share anything and just keep to myself. But I still want to publish and put my stuff out there and know that I'm doing it for myself. And if you like it, that's great. But if you don't like it, that's fine too. I just need to keep doing what I believe in. And the Marty Supreme movie made me think of that also. And also, they say that that ice skater, the lady, I forgot her name, that won the gold medal this year in the Olympics, 2026, they said that she skated for herself and she ended up winning the gold. And not that that always happens. Usually, when you do something for yourself, it may or may not be successful in a mainstream kind of way. But that's a nice example of somebody who seemed relaxed and like she was doing what she loved in her own way and doing a really good job. And then the public, appreciated it. But it doesn't always happen. Sometimes you do what you love and it may or may not be appreciated by the public in a certain way. And yet, if you feel happy doing it, then that's all that matters. And so I want to figure out how to do what brings me joy and publish it and let go of the external results. And hopefully, maybe I inspire other people to pursue their dreams. Hopefully, I don't know, but I don't have control over that. I can only do what I do. And I need to take better care of myself and focus on what I'm grateful for. And so I want to get a lot of rest. And I have a whole bunch of modeling jobs coming up and involving complicated commutes and split shifts and all kinds of very complicated, but I'm very grateful that I get to work with lots of really creative artists, painters, and drawing people, and sculptors and photographers. And I'm also a photographer myself. And I just, music and poetry and comedy and acting and photography and modeling and role playing, acting with medical students, pretending to be a patient. I recently played the role of being a mother of twins, which is totally a stretch for me because I've never had kids and I don't even have brothers or sisters. I've never changed a diaper on a baby. I've never really even held a baby other than a friend had me hold their baby a couple times over the last 20 years, but I really have not really even held a baby. When I was a teenager, I did some babysitting, but not very much. So I really don't have a lot of experience with brothers or sisters or babies or being a mother, role playing in that way. So I definitely use my imagination and my acting skills to do that. And they said I did a good job. So that's good. And that's my life. It's like my real life is I live by myself, I do my own thing. And some ways I'm very sad, in some ways I'm very lonely, and in some ways I'm really grateful and I'm very happy and grateful and I have a lot of freedom. And I'm really weirded out by some of the things happening in the world, but I'm not going to comment on that other than I'm trying not to take the bait and get all polarized about anything other than I just want to stay human, stay close to nature, and cultivate peace within and do what some of the monks were saying about listen to your own heartbeat, stay in touch with your breath, make eye contact with people that you love and you care about, stay in touch with nature, stay in touch with what it is to be a human being on this planet. That's all for now. Check out the music and poetry if you want, visual art. See you later. Bye for now. This is Shannon Kringen, Goddess Kring in Seattle, signing off for now. See you next time. Thanks for liking and subscribing if you want. Bye for now. But it's okay if you don't, because I'm here publishing this just for the satisfaction of expressing myself. That's all. Okay. Bye for now.